Hello, good morning. My name is Marisol Embacleon, a fourth-year student, and my report for today is all about generic types of social issue. One is the cultural criticism. What is cultural criticism? It's the practice of describing, interpreting, and evaluating culture. Culture criticism makes the term culture refers to a popular and classic culture. It breaks down the boundary between high and low culture and discover the political reason why a cultural product is more valued than others. Second, languages and connector to culture and popular culture affect languages. The relationship between languages and culture define and affect your behavior, belief, tradition, nation, language, and society. When you grow up in a specific society, it is inevitable to learn the glances, gestures, and little changes in voice or tone and another communication tools to emphasize or alter what you can do or say. These specific communication techniques of one culture are learned mostly by imitating and describing people, initially from parents, immediate relatives, and later from friends and people outside the close family circle. Third is popular culture affect languages. It influences the way people think. The principle of linguistic relatively tells us that language directly influences the way people view the world. Second, in intercultural interaction. What is likely to happen if there is an interaction between two cultures? In today's scenario, intercultural interaction are very common. Communication is necessary for any person who wants to understand or get along with people whose background and beliefs are greatly dissimilar from their own. Third, transmission of culture and language. Language is learned, which means it can be culturally transmitted. Such like, or example, preschool children take on their first language from the exposure to random words they encounter in and out of their homes. And language shape culture. Oral interaction or instruction and not imitation is how we learn the culture. There could be some imitations if the learner is still young. Without language, we have with language, we are a better way to understand methods of social control, products, techniques, and skills. Spoken language offers a vast quantity of usable information for our community. Lastly, cultural and linguistic diversity. Culture unifies community, although there is diversity within that unity. For example, the older the generation speech might differ from the speech younger people uses nowadays. And the third topic is gender and criticism and feminist criticism. What is feminist criticism? It is the feminist criticism or feminist literary criticism is the literary analysis that arises from the perspective of feminine or feminine theories. Feminist criticism describes us and evaluate the way in which literary words represent the narrative of male domination by analyzing the economic, political, social, and psychological forces. What is gender criticism? Before we learn about gender criticism, it is important to know what exactly mean by gender. Gender is not the same as sex. It actually refers to social and cultural differences between men and women instead of biological differences. Gender criticism refers to a form of literary criticism that is based on gender studies. The Similarities between feminist and gender criticism. Both explore how gender and sexual identity influences the creation and perception of literary. They recognize the stereotype and other cultural assumptions as reflected as well as shaped by literature. The conclusion is that feminist criticism and gender criticism are two closely related literary criticism. This may mean differences between feminist and gender criticism. The feminist criticism is literary analysis that involves a feminist viewpoint, whereas gender criticism is a form of literary criticism that involves feminist and masculinist approaches as well as the queer theories. Lastly, our topic is the LGBTQA issues, impact, and disadvantage. But first, what is LGBT? LGBT means this or stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. LGBT term is an adaptation of the initial LGB, which began to replace the gay or lesbian in reference to the border. Negative and positive factor associated with the well-being of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning youth. Factor associated with the well-being, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning youth. Understand how the factors are experienced from the youth perspective, largely recruited from LGBT youth group. How are the LGBT youth affected by discrimination, and what can school do for help? Discrimination leads to increased high school dropouts rates for LGBT youth and of greater concern increased rates of suicide and substance abuse. The abstract is LGBT youth are faced with the effect on these youths. The LGBT youth not only caused by discrimination but only due to lack of support, guidance. The role of the parent must help them to lessen the rates and will hopefully instruct school and parents to accept and support gay students rather than add to the discriminations that they already faced. Suicide is the leading cause of death among gay and lesbian youth. Gay and lesbian youth are 2 to 6 times more likely to attempt suicide than heterosexual youth. Overall, it's 30% of all reported teen suicide each year are committed by gay and lesbian. Subsequently, higher proportion of heterosexual people use alcohol, marijuana, or cocaine than is in the general population. Lesbian and gay is higher risk than heterosexual population for alcohol and drug abuse. It's approximately 30% both lesbian and gay population have problems with alcohol. Gay and lesbian youth discomfort stem from fear of name-calling and physical harm. Effect of discriminations of youth or LGBT youth endorse hostile verbal and physical harassment that can be excruciating for them. And that's all for today, and thank you for listening. Have a nice day. Once again, this is Mary Sue M. Baclayan reporting.